Well, hello everybody. I'm here at Gamebridge Fieldhouse, and the Indian All-Star game has wrapped up. The series is over for another year for 2024. The Indian All-Stars were able to get a split tonight. They win it 92 to 89 over the Kentucky All-Stars, and a revenge game, I would say, after the game down in Kentucky where Flory Bidunga fouled out. He didn't foul out. He got a technical foul with about 10 minutes left, and then fouled out. And on that technical, and the game kind of got out of hand from there. Kentucky went on to win comfortably last night in Lexington, and then so you had a pretty motivated team, I would say, tonight. The Indian All Stars come out, get out to a 19-point lead, and pretty comfortable at halftime. We're in command. But Kentucky just kept coming, man. I gotta say, Max Green had 36 points on Friday. He went out and had 25 more tonight. Going to Holy Cross, he's about 6'6". I know some of the guys on the Indian All Star team said they played AAU with him. I believe Trey Buchanan and Jack Benner. Maybe a couple others had played with him at some point in their high school career. And really good player, really played well, at least this weekend. He definitely was impressive. Also tonight, Quilron House had 24 points for Kentucky, and Travis Perry, who's Mr. Basketball, had 17. All three of those guys pretty tough players, and gave Indiana some trouble. This class, this 2024 class for Indiana, when Flory's out there, everybody looks a lot better. He's 6'9". Block shots, had a ton of dunks tonight. He ended up, I don't even know if I said that he had 31 points and 17 rebounds tonight. MVP of the game, pretty obvious that choice. Played almost the whole game. Played 38 minutes. He ended up with 5 block shots, 4 assists, and obviously made a huge difference in this game. He's 13 for 21 from the field in his final high school event, basically, before he goes to Kansas. He actually already been to Kansas for a couple days, came back to play in this game, played really well tonight, obviously. Didn't play as much. I think he only played 13 minutes on Friday night because of that foul trouble, so was not his normal dominant self, mostly for that reason. Jack Benner also had a good game tonight, 16 points and 4 rebounds, 4 assists, that is, and 4 rebounds also. Had a good flurry there at the end of the first half where he kind of, I think he had 8 points there in about the last minute or so, including a 3 right at the buzzer. So a good lift from Benner, who played well throughout the week. I thought I'll have more in a Monday column, but for the overall experience of the All Stars. But I thought he played a good game. KJ Wyndham early on had 11 points in the first half, ended up with 13 for the game and 4 assists. Another guy who played really well. Not surprisingly, headed to Northwestern, but I think he's going to have a good career there. Seems like he's a guy who's been around forever, but the last of the Wyndhams come through, and another good night for KJ. Micah Davis had 11 points. Evan Haywood had 10 points and 6 rebounds, and then Keenan Garner had 9 points and 10 rebounds. Kind of an all-round. It's kind of a typical Keenan Garner stat filler type of game. He had, in addition, he also had 3 assists. He didn't shoot great, but just kind of did a little bit of everything, which is pretty typical for Keenan throughout his last couple of years at Fishers. And then Aaron Fine, not a huge statistical game. Then you had quite a few other guys. I don't know how you ended up with 6 guys who just didn't play that much tonight, partly because of the way the game was going. They kind of limited the bench a little bit. So that's always kind of a tough thing, too, I feel, for those guys. But you got to be part of the experience of Indian All-Stars. I think that's the main thing. I know it's tough. A lot of these guys are obviously stars on their team, or they wouldn't be here. Not used to sitting the bench, so I know that's tough at times. And there have been years where it's become a real problem. It didn't seem to be with this group in particular, but I know that's been the case. And sometimes you'll have some parents are upset, or kids who are upset afterwards. I wasn't around a lot of it tonight, to be honest with you, but didn't really sense that was the case tonight. So hopefully that wasn't the case. But seemed like pretty good group, pretty cohesive group. But you take Bidunga off the floor like they had to Friday night. becomes a lot different team. He didn't have a real rim protector in this group that could do what he did, and he's a McDonald's All-American, so that's understandable. But when he is out there, I thought they played really well. They have a lot of shooters on this team, a lot of players who can score, and he can look for them. He's a good passer. Flory is, and looks to. I'm more impressed all the time the way he can get out and dribble the ball, up the court, and also it took a three the other night in the junior game. That looked pretty good. I know that's something he's been working on. John Peckinpah, his coach, kind of jokingly, said that he cringed when he shot it, but it did look good, and he knocked it down. So credit to him. He's obviously been working on his game a lot, for the next level at Kansas. So. So a good win tonight. It was funny. Aaron Fine said after the game, I didn't want to, be the first team swept since '86, which is the last time Kentucky swept, which is hard to believe that it's been that long since Kentucky swept the series. But it didn't happen. The Indiana's able to get the win. He can show his kids someday that they did win one of these games at least. So. But yeah, so and I know, I get a lot of questions. What's the attendance? Attendance looks terrible. It's not what it used to be. And I've been hearing this. I think I've been doing this whatever amount of time. Coming up on 16, 17 years, and I hear that every year. It's just not going to be 19 whatever anymore. We're not going to have stands filled. I don't know what else to say. If you're going to keep doing this game, and I know it's just me personally hearing it, but or maybe I don't know what people get out of constantly commenting on the game and the crowds and whatnot. And I get it. I mean, it's not. You go to Kentucky and it's a high school gym, and it's not very full. And I know on the Kentucky side, they're trying to. I talked to their director tonight, and they're trying to. It's not that they're not working at it. They're trying to figure things out. They tried Owensboro. Were really disappointed in the crowd they had last year there. There's just no real buzz and no. So I think moving to Lexington, where you can get more of a walk-up crowd, that may be a good thing. I don't know if the playing at Catholic is something that's great, but they're limited for the gym. You have to have a gym that's college, and you can play have shot clocks and those sorts of things. So you're kind of limited a little bit on what you can do as far as facilities go. I know on this end, I think this date in June works because you can get the building. You can get Gainbridge Fieldhouse in June, whereas I know a lot of people talked about moving to April, which I think is actually a pretty good idea. But can you get the facility in April could be problematic. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and we're definitely pushed up against it. Like I said, the kids are going to be. A lot of these kids will be leaving for college, even Sunday, or even in some cases have been to college already and come back. So, it's the timing is on this game is playing it in June. It isn't ideal necessarily. A lot of these kids are, haven't been playing 5-on-5 competitively for a while just because they're out of AAU. You're not playing AAU anymore. And these girls teams, the season goes back to. Goes back basically to February. So you're talking about maybe 4 months where you haven't played a real, I'm sure they're playing, obviously. They're going to college and playing. They're playing up and down. They're training and everything. They're in good shape. But maybe just that not having that game experience for a while, can be tough too. So there's a lot of reasons, a lot of things I think that will be looked at in the future. I'm not saying everything's perfect here. And attendance was tonight. It was 54. 45 was the attendance, so that was up from last year. It's you're just not going to get 18,000 people at the game. It's just you might for a high school, you might for a a sectional game, a regional game. It's an all-star game. I just don't think you're going to get that kind of buzz. People have stuff going on, and I just don't think it's going to be that anymore. So. I don't know. I mean, either you and there's lots of things I think people talk about and things you could do, and people talk about different states, playing against Indiana. I don't love that. I mean, why would Michigan care? Why would Ohio care? Why would Illinois care? I just don't think that's really the answer. I think if you don't have a Kentucky series, maybe you just play the juniors here and do it that way. And I don't know that that's the worst idea in the world either. Play them a couple times during the week, and I don't know. I mean, throwing stuff out there, but the series is what it is, and Indiana has dominated. I say the girls, they were able to have a close game tonight. Again, it was 66-64. They pulled it out against Kentucky. So they also, not to leave them out, they did win also. So they did end up sweeping for the first time since 2016. So good girls team. I thought I was impressed, and they were without Jordan Poole tonight, who was injured last night, got hit in the face, and I thought she was going to play. It sounded like, but I guess they just precautionary kept her out. Julian Woodard had 15 points and 12 rebounds. She was the MVP. Of course, Flory was MVP for the boys. No surprise there. Chloe Spreen had a good game, especially late tonight. Missed basketball for Indiana. She had 16 points and 5 rebounds. So she played well also in this game tonight. So Indiana, the girls' first sweep since 2016. Boys get the split, and another good week, I think, of basketball. And talk to some of the kids too, just about, hey, what did you learn about this experience? And you always I think you always find out that they enjoy their time playing for the Indian All-Stars. The coaches, I think, is something they look back on as being one of the highlights of their career, playing in this game. And I know it's a busy week. They do a lot. I think Aaron Fine mentioned that. They're constantly doing stuff during the week and staying busy doing stuff. So again, Indiana wins. It was 92-89 tonight, and again, Flory Bidunga is the MVP of the game. 31 points, 17 rebounds. What a player! Just again, his career. He'll be, I think, one of the all-timers. And I will yet to see how his college career goes, of course, and what he does even beyond that potentially. But definitely had a lot of fun covering him these last 3 years. Kokomo's not in our direct coverage area, but obviously covered a lot of his games throughout the last 3 years. Proved so much. I remember as a sophomore, he just you knew he's just this big guy who could block shots and very physical, imposing presence. They ended up making a run in the tournament that year and kind of raised some eyebrows when they did, and then came back as a junior, made it to the state championship game, lost to Ben Davis. And this place here was rocking that night. Just it's been really fun, I think, for Kokomo again to get behind its program, and obviously he was the main reason for that. So it's the end of an era there for Kokomo for sure. But we always have more star players coming through. An end of an era for Jack Benner, who's going to Purdue. KJ Wyndham headed to Northwestern, like I said, Fine to Purdue, Garner and Davis and Haywood. You go down the line. I'd love to see what Trey Buchanan going to Iowa and Isaac Andrews going to Indiana Wesleyan. So you got a lot of guys who are going on, even small college players. Jack Miller playing for his dad down there at Hanover. So you got a lot of guys who Tyler Parrish and Tucker Tornada, they're going to UIndy, and then Carson Rogers to St. Francis. So a lot of in-state players going on to college, and that'll be fun to watch as well. But again, wrapping up here from Cambridge Fieldhouse. Thanks for listening and reading and everything throughout the season. But wrapping it up here for the Indian All-Star Week.